Health Ministry confirms 11 chikungunya cases in Tanjung Sepat. 200 shops in uptown Puchong Permai gutted in morning blaze. Good evening. Thanks for joining us and you're watching the evening edition of News on 2. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Our first story. The Ministry of Health said the Kuala Langat District Health Office has conducted active case detection, and as of 31st January, 14 patients with symptoms of chikungunya were detected and testing was ordered. And of the 14, 11 patients were diagnosed with chikungunya disease involving residents from Tanjung Sepat, Kuala Langat, Selangor. Now, according to Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, the matter is under control. Meanwhile, the Kuala Langat District Health Office has carried out the destruction of mosquito breeding sites and fogging activities in the vicinity of Tanjung Sepat. The chikungunya disease is caused by the chikungunya virus, which is spread by Aedes mosquitoes. Patients infected by and with chikungunya will develop a fever, rash, body ache, and joint pain that can affect the patient's movements. Patients with these symptoms are urged to get tested and subsequent treatment at their nearest health facility. About 200 stalls at the Uptown Puchong Night Bazaar, Jalan Puchong Permai in Selangor, were destroyed in a blaze early today, with total losses estimated at nearly 1 million ringgit. In Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Deputy Director of Operations Norizam Muhammad Nudin said about 200 stalls, including 80 which were open during the incident, were destroyed in the fire. Now, Puchong Fire and Rescue Department received a distress call regarding the incident at 7:59 a.m. and arrived at the scene at 8:15 a.m. Norizam said 45 fighters from Puchong, Serdang, Kota Anggrek and Petaling Jaya stations, together with 6 fire engines, were deployed to the scene. The operation was led by Senior Fire Officer Zaikunur Effendi. Police and personnel from Tenaga Nasional Berhad also assisted in the operation. The fire was successfully brought under control 1 hour later, and no lives were reportedly lost in the incident. It is learned that at the time of the incident, most of the shop lots in the area were closed. 12 University Malaysia Kelantan UMK students who were stranded following a huge flood at Pekalongan, Central Java, Indonesia, arrived safely at Kuala Lumpur International Airport 2, or KLIA 2, at 1 a.m. today. Now, the group of students, however, remain determined to return to Pekalongan to acquire dye technology, despite losing their equipment worth 2,000 ringgit in their final year project working papers in the recent flood. The arrival of the group, comprising of 10 female students and 2 male students, was received by Foreign Minister Dato Saifuddin Abdullah and UMK Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Alumni and Student Affairs, Professor Dr. Zaliman Sauli, at the arrival hall in KLIA 2 today.
Saya ucap terima kasih dan syabas kepada pentadbiran Universiti Malaysia Kelantan kerana mereka memang mengambil berat tentang pelajar-pelajar mereka. Seperti saya kata tadi, hantar pensyarah untuk menguruskan hal ehwal mereka. Tapi saya juga nak ucap terima kasih kepada agensi-agensi kita yang lain. Selain daripada Wisma Putra, ada juga agensi-agensi yang lain yang berada di Jakarta. Semuanya membantulah.
Rumah untuk student perempuan cepat sangat air naik. Mula-mula tengok air naik tu, air tu jernih daripada Paras Buku Lali ke Betis dan terus ke Pinggang. Jadinya kami berpindah daripada tempat duduk terus ke madrasah. Lepas tu pindah lagi ke SMT 5 sebab air pun naik dekat madrasah tu. Kita orang dah nak tidur dah, time tu dah pukul 12 lebih. Nasib baik tak tidur lagi.
Masa first MAS tu, kita orang dapat duduk situ dalam 20 minit je. Lepas tu air naik lagi. Kita orang duduk kat surau. Kat surau tu air naik. So kita orang kena pindah lagi ke tempat yang lagi tinggi, dekat SMP 5. So bila sampai ke SMP 5, kita orang dapat tempat lah. Alhamdulillah, tempat memang disediakan. Cuma tak ada kemudahan lain. Macam selimut semua tak ada. Kita orang semua sendiri-sendiri.
Dato' Saifuddin added that all the 12 students waded in waist-deep water to seek refuge at a madrasa before being contacted by a UMK lecturer at 5 a.m. on 20th January to arrange their 350-kilometer journey to Jakarta by van, which took 8 hours. The group of students were in Pekalongan since September last year to undergo training by Dai Technology at Zahir Batik for 2 semesters. Apart from the 12 UMK students, there were no other Malaysians involved in the flood tragedy in Pekalongan. A man in his 80s was killed while another man in his 30s was reported to be seriously injured when stabbed during a fight with neighbors at a 3-story shop building at Jalan Theatre in Ipoh, Perak. And Perak Criminal Investigation Department Deputy Head ACP Anwar Othman said police received a report on the incident at 12:30 p.m. and preliminary investigation found that the fight involved 3 men and a woman. Commenting further, ACP Anwar said the fight started with a misunderstanding between the elderly man and a neighbor in his 30s, during which the senior citizen was stabbed on the chest by the younger man.
Wanita itu adalah ibu kepada suspek yang terlibat juga. Ibu ni dia cuba meleraikan pergaduhan antara jiran. Dan semasa meleraikan pergaduhan tu, anak kepada ibu ni nampak dicekik dan dia cuba menyelamatkan ibu dia dan dia telah menetak mangsa dan mangsa tersebut telah cedera dan dihantar ke hospital.
ACP Anwar further noted that the injured man and the senior citizen's body was sent to Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital for treatment and post-mortem respectively. The case is currently being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Well, 2 friends were severely injured when the car they were traveling in was involved in an accident with a lorry carrying a load of live chickens near Dungun, Terengganu. The 2 victims, aged in their 20s, were said to be on their way home after dinner at a food stall. Now, in the 1 a.m. incident that took place along kilometer 82 of Jalan Jerangau Jabor near the Bandar Bukit Besi Dungun intersection. And the car, which was being driven by one of the victims, was said to have exited the intersection abruptly. And the car, which was being driven by one of the victims, was said to have done so. And the lorry, which was traveling from the opposite direction, attempted to avoid the car, but the car crashed into the lorry's rear tire. And as a result of the collision, the left side of the victim's car was badly damaged, causing one of them to suffer severe head and bodily injuries. And the driver of the car, meanwhile, suffered a broken left thigh bone. And both victims were rushed to the emergency unit at Dungun Hospital for further treatment and were reported to be in stable condition. The lorry also overturned, resulting in about 2,000 live chickens escaping from their cages. And the lorry driver suffered only minor injuries. Dungun Police Chief Superintendent Baharuddin Abdullah, when contacted, confirmed the incident, adding that investigation is ongoing to determine the cause of the incident. The Perka B40 Healthcare Protection Scheme is still in the pioneer project phase and have not been fully launched. Health Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad, in a statement today, said the launch, which was held on 20th January, was a media launch session aimed at boosting public awareness on the scheme. Now, elaborating further, Dato' Sri Dr. Zulkifli said currently the ministry wants to study the acceptance of the people and other stakeholders towards this scheme. He also said that the involvement and support of every stakeholder is very important in ensuring the success of the Perka B40 scheme, namely an initiative which focuses on the public-private ties via financing from government fund. Perka B40, which is fully governed, funded with a starting allocation of 100 million ringgit, is expected to be able to benefit 800,000 recipients. The implementation of the Perka B40 scheme was the federal government's commitment to widen access to the necessary health services, reducing burden on cost of living and improving the well-being of the people. Malaysia asks WHO to retract biased report on palm oil industry. Now, recipients of the Bantuan Sara Hidup or BSH Cash Aid program will need to update their personal details to receive the remaining payment for 2019. And Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng, who made the announcement today, also said the first tranche of aid worth 1.2 billion ringgit was distributed on 28th January, with the next scheduled for May and August. Now, in a statement released by the Finance Ministry, for the remaining payment, eligible applicants must register and update their household details. And the BSH program is a continuation of the now defunct BR1M, or also known as BRIM, which gives cash assistance to lower in-house and income households to cope with living costs. And households earning below 4,000 ringgit monthly are eligible for the 300 ringgit cash aid. An application for the 2019 BSH payment can now be made through its website from now until 15th March. Ministry of Primary Industries has asked the World Health Organization, WHO, to retract a report that says the palm oil industry is deploying tactics similar to tobacco and alcohol lobbyists to influence research into the health effects of its products. Now, in a statement released by the ministry, it said that they view the article as half-truths, unscholarly, flawed and utterly biased against palm oil with suspected intention of demonizing the palm oil industry. Now, WHO, however, said the report was published with a disclaimer and cannot be described as a study by the organization. And the production of palm oil used in everything from cooking oil to chocolate, lipstick and shampoo has been criticized, particularly in Western countries, for the alleged damage to rainforests and for causing water and air pollution. The statement further noted that its minister, Theresa Kok, and WHO officials are currently considering holding joint seminars to correct the misinformation surrounding oils and fats, especially palm oil. A review of the water tariff needs to be done promptly due to the increasing demand for treated water. Now, the CEO of the National Water Services Commission, or SPAN, Dr. Muhammad Rizwan Ismail, said that there is a 2 to 5% increase in the cost of treating water supply every year due to an increasing population and upgrading projects.
Cadangan kenaikan tarif yang dicadangkan adalah untuk menjadi industri berkeladai ini satu industri yang mampan untuk jangka masa panjang. Kalau kita tengok beberapa negeri, kebanyakan negeri lah saya rasa, tiada penyelarasan tarif dibuat dalam tempoh 10 tahun yang kebelakang. Dah ada negeri-negeri yang 20 tahun pun ada tidak diselaraskan.
Dr. Muhammad Rizwan also said that SPAN, which was established in 2007 as a governing body to oversee the supply of treated water in Peninsular Malaysia and the Federal Territory of Labuan, was currently discussing with several state governments to find solution to the issue. He further assured that SPAN would introduce a transparent water tariff calculation mechanism to ensure any increase was done in a controlled manner while protecting the interests of consumers. The Tourism, Arts and Culture Ministry is encouraging workers in the private sector to wear batik, as currently practiced by civil servants. Its Minister, Dato' Muhammadin Katapi, said even though his ministry has yet to hold discussions with private sector operators, he believed the government's intention would be well received by them.
Ini bermakna pemakaian batik ini akan dibuat secara luas di setiap negeri, kaki tangan awam, sektor swasta seminggu sekali. Kurang-kurangnya seminggu sekali. Sekarang ini memang dah mula, tetapi belum lagi secara besar-besaran.
Dr. Muhammadin said this after a Kelantan Handicraft Entrepreneur Engagement session at the Kelantan branch of the Malaysia Handicraft Development Corporation in Kota Bharu. He added that efforts to wear authentic Malaysian batik would also enhance the image of the country in the eyes of tourists visiting the country. The Federal Agricultural Marketing Authority, Pharma, for the first time launched Jualan Jimat Belanja in conjunction with the Chinese New Year celebration starting from 31st January until 4th February. Now, the program is being held at 748 farmers' markets across the country to provide an opportunity for consumers to obtain goods at a reasonable price. National Agricultural Advisory Council member Hishamuddin Muhammad Ghazali said in addition to fresh produce such as meat, poultry and vegetables, users also have the opportunity to get savings of between 5 and 20% of selected goods and compared to the prices in public markets.
Tujuan program ni kita buat program majlis program jualan jimat belanja Tahun Baru Cina yang sebagai satu tarikan untuk promosi rakyat berbelanja dengan harga barang yang jimat murah yang mana kerajaan tengah galakkan sekarang ni.
He said this to reporters after launching the Jualan Jimat Belanja Tahun Baharu Cina program at Medan Warisan Makanan Dataran Bandaraya, Kota Baru. The program is in line with the government's efforts to deal with price hikes by unscrupulous traders during the festive season. Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Based Industry through Pharma also assured the price of goods at pharmacies' markets are reasonable and competitive even during the festive season. So 3 years, Nigerian Dixon Nwakaeme returned to Pahang with a bang yesterday. In their Super League opener at Kuala Lumpur Football Stadium, Nwakaeme, 31, grabbed 2 goals for the Elephants in their 3-1 win over Kuala Lumpur. Forward Shadil Ramdani opened the scoring for Pahang after taking advantage of a rebound from Gambian Muhammadu Sumare's attempt in the 23rd minute. In the second half, KL came out in full spirit and the City Boys were rewarded with the equalizer in the 48th minute through Afiq Ahmad Razali. However, KL celebrations were short-lived as Nwakaeme, known as the Man of Steel, beat goalkeeper Mohamed Sarbini Alawi Ramli in the 52nd minute. Nwakaeme was not finished yet as the predatory Nigerian struck again in extra time. Kuala Lumpur, saddled with internal issues, will now face a tricky task as they travel to Johor Bahru on 8th February to face Johor Darul Takzim JDT. Meanwhile, in Kuala Terengganu, Terengganu FC or TFC and PKNS FC had key players suspended for the opening match of the Super League, and both teams had to be content with just a single point after playing out a 1-1 draw at Sultan Ismail Nasiruddin Shah Stadium on Friday night. Neither Lee Tuck nor Kebah Sherman was available for the season opener. Parading Sanja Shakmedov in the starting lineup, TFC shaded the opening half with chances falling to Titche Kipre and Terry Chanta Ben, but they found Zarif Irfan to be a major stumbling block. Against the run of play, the Red Ants took the lead. Nicholas Swerard headed home the opening goal, latching onto Chan Vatanaka's corner kick in the 65th minute. When all hope looked lost, TFC managed to get themselves on level terms with just 1 minute of normal time remaining. Maligarev read Kipre's flick on and shrugged off Qayyum Marjoni's challenge to blast the ball past Zarif for the home side to snatch a late draw. And on to hockey. University Kuala Lumpur UniKL scored a stylish 5-1 win over Maybank to storm to the top of the standings in the Premier Division of the Malaysia Hockey League, or MHL, at the Tengku Abdullah Hockey Stadium in Bangi. UniKL now sit pretty at the top with 16 points from 6 matches, pushing Tenaga Malaysia or Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB into the second spot with 15 points. UniKL, boosted by the signing of players from Holland and Australia, signalled their intentions as early as the 11th minute through skipper Muhammad Marhan Muhammad Jalil's field goal. Maybank, however, stunned them 6 minutes later to equalise through national player Hafifi Hafiz Hanafi. Then came the UniKL onslaught, with goals from Dutchman Martins Peter Havenga at the 28th and 39th minute, Iswan Firdaus Ahmad Tajuddin in the 52nd minute, and another Dutchman, Robert Huip Kamperman, in the 60th minute. Evening's news on to. In our top story, Health Ministry confirms 11 chikungunya cases in Tanjung Sepat. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to TV2 and have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.